This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. On February 25th, completely out of the blue, Disney announced that Bob Iger would step down as CEO to be replaced by Bob Chapek, effective immediate. Iger won't be gone though. He'll still serve as executive chairman on Disney's board of directors until his contract expires at the end of 2021. Meaning Chapek still reports to him. We already gave our hot takes in a live stream with Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers and The Critical Drinker. My initial thought was that there was nothing nefarious about this, although I did find the timing to be puzzling. So it will be interesting to see what else this week brings of more news. Already, one of the sources who helped us break down all the shenanigans behind the scenes of Rise of Skywalker reached out to me. Allegedly, Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy does factor into this. I shall break down how, for in this editorial, I will go through just what has happened and what it means in practice, and how it relates to the mismanagement of Star Wars and the proverbial firing of one Kathleen Kennedy. To recap, on February 25th, Disney announced that effective immediate, Bob Iger would step back as CEO and Bob Chapek would succeed him. That took Wall Street by surprise, as they had expected Kevin Mayer, who runs Disney streaming services, to eventually replace Bob Iger. The Wall Street narrative was that the streaming services, Disney Plus and Hulu, are a big part of Disney going forward, so not appointing Mayer has them confused. You know what both of those services have in common though? Not to Wall Street maybe, but to audiences. Well, they're not available to most audiences around the world, and so neither is their exclusive programming. That is a problem with not just those, but many streaming services all over the world. There is so much exclusive programming you are missing out on, almost no matter where in the world you are, and that drives audiences back to the high seas. Unless they use VPN, that is. Which is something this video's sponsor, Surfshark, just so happens to deliver. First and foremost, a VPN, or a virtual private network, is a privacy protection tool which guarantees instant online safety. Surfshark encrypts all the data sent via the internet, so that no one can obtain usernames, logins, passwords, private messages, or steal content or other sensitive data. And make no mistake about it, there are those who are looking to get your data, especially out there on the high seas. Now, to be clear, no one here condones you being on the high seas in the first place. Going hunting for pirate treasure is wrong, even if you know that's where VPN really comes in handy. But VPN also provides a far better alternative, as Surfshark allows you to change the country you access the internet from, which in turn allows you to bypass geo-blocking restrictions. That way, you can subscribe to a whole host of online streaming services which may be restricted to certain regions and thus obtain their exclusive content through your own registered profile, no matter where you physically may be located. An additional advantage with Surfshark over many other VPN providers is that it allows one account to be used on multiple devices. And it gets even better. Surfshark sponsors this video, so we have a deal for you. If you type in the code MIDNIGHT when ordering, that triggers an exclusive deal in which you get 83% off the normal list price, plus 1 extra month for free. Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk in trying it out. Do check out the link in the description below for further details. Anyway, I digress. However confused Wall Street may be with the fact that Iger went with Chapek instead of Mayer. Chapek is the one he went with, so let's stick with that. Chapek has been with Disney since 1993, and most recently served as chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences and Products, a job he has held since 2018, and according to many, utterly botched. His new contract began on Monday and ends on February 28, 2023. If he does well as CEO, expect that contract to be renewed. Many may be struck by how fast this went down, which I think is Iger's response to how long, drawn out, and painful the process was when he had to campaign for the role of CEO back in 2005. And he did have to campaign, and campaign hard, because he had served as Michael Eisner's right-hand man in the years when Eisner ran the company into the ground. This, by the way, I think is the reason why Iger would appoint Chapek, despite the parks not going all that well under his watch. Iger is of the mindset that past mistakes can't be changed, but if you have the smarts for it, you can still be the right guy for the future. That's how he deflected attacks for being associated with Eisner's failures during his campaigning for the role of Disney CEO. Perhaps Wall Street should actually read Iger's book, maybe they'd be less confused then, but anyway. Even if there now is a new CEO in town, Bob Iger isn't gone, far from it. While no longer formally in charge of the day-to-day operations, he stepped into the role of executive chairman on Disney's board of directors. That is the one role higher than the CEO in the organizational chart. The CEO manages Disney, but the chairman of the board manages the CEO. If Iger wants it to, the buck still ultimately stops with him. Iger is in the position to guide Chapek as he learns the ins and outs of being CEO. From day one though, Chapek will be formally in charge of the day-to-day minutiae, meaning Iger will have much more time for creative oversight, which I think he'll use to try to steer those aspects of Disney that aren't really working in a direction he feels is better, possibly to preserve his legacy. What that in turn means is that Iger might now suddenly have more sway over what ends up on screen and in what form it ends up on screen than he did before. This arrangement will last until the end of 2021. Then Chapek's training wheels come off as Iger is poised to leave Disney for good. If nothing changes, that is. You see, Iger's original contract would have him leave Disney years ago already, but it was extended to 2021 due to the Fox acquisition. While it is perfectly possible that he actually will step aside and enjoy retirement when his current contract expires, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we sometime between now and then learn that Iger's contract has been renewed yet again, at least until the end of 2022 or even into 2023. I don't think this is the beginning of him stepping quietly into the night, let's say. This is just my speculation, of course, but in his book, Iger spoke of his past presidential aspirations that he since left behind in such a humble manner that I'm inclined to believe he still fully intends to run for president and will position himself to that end in the next few years. I'm fairly confident he has no such plans for this cycle, but 2024, when Trump can't continue for another term anyway, would be a good time for Iger to run. All in all, this seems nice and clean and not suspicious. Even so, I've heard that in addition to everything I've just laid out, there is one more piece to the puzzle. Regardless of what you may feel about Disney's handling of Star Wars, Bob Iger's tenure as CEO has been a great one for Disney. On his watch, the company has skyrocketed in terms of revenue, size, and reach, although one can argue that they've strayed far from the world and set of characters Walt Disney originally created. The one acquisition that hasn't really worked out though is Star Wars. Disney paid $4.05 billion for Lucasfilm, which according to their own number crunching was too much. That only placed greater pressure on Star Wars to perform, which it did to begin with, but then The Last Jedi happened, and all Star Wars related revenue took a hit from which it has yet to recover. The end result of that is that while individual projects done under the Lucasfilm division have been profitable, the acquisition of Lucasfilm itself has not. Disney have not yet recouped their more than $4 billion outlay, and they are very, very far away from doing so. If things had gone well, Rise of Skywalker should have performed like Avengers Endgame did. Needless to say, it didn't. Instead, it barely limped past $1 billion, and by however narrow a margin, Joker outgrossed it worldwide. For any other movie, that's still great. For Star Wars, and the end of the saga at that, it's an embarrassment. For that, there will be a reckoning. Note that what I'm about to relate to you was information that was provided to me from a source with knowledge of the situation, which still means that we are talking about claims from an anonymous source, claims that at this time cannot be independently verified. That, in turn, means that what I'm about to relate to you must be treated as rumor and taken with an appropriate grain of salt. With that health warning out of the way, let's dive in. What I heard is that while Kathleen Kennedy can be sidelined and marginalized, which she indeed has been, firing her before her contract expires is a different matter. That you will in all likelihood have heard before. What you may not have heard before is that what really complicates matters is Kathleen Kennedy herself. Terminating her contract before it expires can of course be done, and if she would have gone quietly, like Catherine Powell did when they fired her from the Parks Division last year, Kennedy would have been gone already. Speaking of Powell, many were confused by that. Why would Disney, without blinking, fire a female executive in Catherine Powell? But with Kathleen Kennedy, whose mismanagement has destroyed Star Wars, they're suddenly worried about the optics of the situation. According to what I have heard, the reason for that is that unlike Catherine Powell, who took her severance package and then mostly stayed quiet, Kennedy has made it known that she will do no such thing. She is all about appearances, which is why her camp leaked that her contract had been renewed when Disney wouldn't announce it. If she is let go in a manner which makes it look like her ideologically driven iteration of Star Wars is a failure, she will apparently burn down the castle on her way out of it. I don't know what she would say or do specifically, but I'm left with the impression that certain cards would be pulled and certain labels would be used to describe Disney and its management, and that's where the concern over the optics of the situation come from. By Iger stepping back like he does now, several birds can be killed with one stone. For one thing, it answers the question of who would succeed Iger before it became a bothersome one, and on top of that, it enables Iger to step back from day-to-day operations while focusing more attention on creative matters or of less than optimally functioning aspects of the business. That alone sufficiently explains why they did this. But in the wake of such a change in senior management, more changes will inevitably ensue as the new CEO changes the organization in accordance with his new strategy. To this end, several division heads may be changed, or if you prefer another term, purged. That opens the door to removing Kathleen Kennedy as well, and doing so in the name of a restructuring that affects the entire organization, rather than singling her out for termination over her obvious criminal negligence of Star Wars. So again, that is not the reason why Iger stepped back, but rumor has it that firing Kathleen Kennedy is part of that equation. That, by the way, is something I also hear, that they do indeed want to get rid of her, as right now, she is an anchor on Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Not until Kathleen Kennedy is gone will they be completely free to take control over Star Wars. That is what I heard anyway. Make sure you file it as rumor. Do you think there could be something to these rumors? And what changes do you think Chapek will bring to Disney? Let me know in the comments. Oh, and before you go, remember to head on over to this video sponsor, Surfshark, and use the promo code MIDNIGHT to get 83% off the normal list price, plus 1 extra month free of Surfshark VPN. Link is in the description.